The morning sun shone through the large windows of Billy's Diner, a popular eating place in downtown Chicago. The smell of fresh coffee and bacon filled the air as people chatted and enjoyed their breakfast. At 7:30 a.m., the place was busy with office workers grabbing a quick meal before heading to work. James Carter, a tall, well-built black man in his mid-40s, pushed open the glass door of the diner. He wore simple clothes, blue jeans, a plain gray t-shirt, and a worn leather jacket. Nothing about his appearance showed his true importance. He carried a small tablet in one hand and looked around for an empty table. The diner was nearly full. Most tables had people in business clothes talking loudly over plates of eggs and pancakes. James waited patiently near the "Please wait to be seated" sign, his eyes taking in the busy scene. Melissa Turner had worked at Billy's Diner for 5 years. She was quick to judge people based on how they looked. One look at customers, and she could tell how much they would tip. She spotted James standing by the entrance and frowned slightly. "I'll seat you," she said, grabbing a menu. She didn't smile as she would for other customers. Melissa led James past several empty tables near the window and instead took him to a small table at the back corner, next to the restrooms. "This is your table," she said, dropping the menu on the table. She spoke slowly and loudly, as if James might not understand normal speech. "Do you know what you want to drink?" James noticed her tone but kept his face calm. "Coffee, please. Black." Melissa nodded and walked away without writing it down. From across the diner, she made eye contact with another waitress, Jenny, and rolled her eyes. Jenny smirked back. James opened his tablet and began reading something important. The light from the screen reflected on his focused face as he swiped through pages of medical documents. When Melissa returned with his coffee, she almost slammed it down, causing some to spill onto the table. She didn't bother to wipe it up. "Ready to order?" she asked, speaking even louder than before. Other customers turned to look. "Yes," James said calmly. "I'd like the breakfast special with eggs over easy, please." "That's $12.99, Melissa said quickly. "Just so you know." Her tone suggested she doubted he could afford it. "That's fine," James replied, his voice still even. "Thank you." As Melissa walked to the kitchen to place his order, she whispered to Jenny, "Table 14 is going to be nothing but trouble. Probably won't even leave a tip." 20 minutes passed, and James noticed that people who came in after him had already received their food. He didn't complain. He continued reading his documents, occasionally making notes with his finger on the tablet's screen. When Melissa finally brought his food, the eggs were nearly hard, not over easy as he had requested, and the toast was cold. She dropped the plate in front of him without asking if he needed anything else. "Enjoy," she said flatly, already turning to leave. "Excuse me," James said politely. "Could I get some hot sauce, please?" Melissa sighed loudly. "Fine, I'll be back." She took her time returning with the hot sauce, then quickly walked away to serve her other customers with big smiles and friendly chatter. All through his meal, she never returned to refill his coffee or ask how the food was. James ate quietly, watching the interactions around him. His eyes weren't angry, just observant and thoughtful. He knew this treatment wasn't new or unique. He had experienced it many times before. Little did Melissa know who was really sitting at table 14, quietly eating cold toast and overcooked eggs. James Carter finished his meal despite the cold food and poor service. When it was time to pay, he placed a $20 bill on the table, enough to cover his $12.99 breakfast and leave a generous tip. He stood up, put his tablet in his bag, and walked out of the diner without looking back. Outside, James checked his watch. It was 8:15 a.m. He had plenty of time to walk the 4 blocks to Chicago Memorial Hospital. The fresh morning air felt good after the stuffy corner of the diner. As he walked, several people greeted him with respect. "Good morning, Dr. Carter," called a young man in hospital scrubs who was jogging past. James smiled and waved. "Morning, Paul. Ready for a busy day?" The truth was that James Carter was not just any man. He was Dr. James Carter, one of the best brain surgeons in the entire country. For the past 5 years, he had been the chief of surgery at Chicago Memorial Hospital, where he saved lives every day with his skilled hands and sharp mind. Dr. Carter had grown up in this very neighborhood. His mother had raised 3 children on her own while working 2 jobs. They didn't have much money, but she taught them the value of education and hard work. James had won a scholarship to medical school and worked extremely hard to become a doctor. Now, at 45, he was at the top of his field. Despite his success, Dr. Carter never forgot where he came from. That's why he still lived in the same neighborhood and walked to work every day. That's also why he stopped at local diners for breakfast instead of fancy restaurants. He believed in staying connected to real people. "Good morning, Dr. Carter," said the security guard as James entered the hospital. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" "It sure is, Mike," James replied with a warm smile. "How's your son doing in college?" "Great, Doc. Thanks for asking, and thanks again for writing that recommendation letter. It made all the difference." James entered the elevator and pressed the button for the 5th floor. 2 nurses joined him, their faces lighting up when they saw him. "Dr. Carter, just the person we wanted to see," said the older nurse. "We have a question about Mrs. Rodriguez's care plan." James listened carefully to their concerns and offered thoughtful advice. This was typical of his leadership style, always approachable, always respectful to everyone from janitors to fellow doctors. In his office, Dr. Carter changed into his white coat with Dr. James Carter, Chief of Surgery, embroidered on the pocket. He looked nothing like the man Melissa had treated poorly at the diner. Now, with his professional clothes and confident posture, his true identity was clear to see. His assistant, Brenda, knocked on the door. "Good morning, Dr. Carter. Your schedule today includes 3 surgeries and the board meeting at 4 p.m. Oh, and Dr. Williams wants to consult with you about a difficult case." "Thank you, Brenda. Let's start with the patient rounds." Dr. Carter walked through the hospital hallways, stopping to check on each of his patients. He remembered all their names and personal details. He took time to explain things clearly and answer their questions. Everyone who met him felt his genuine care. The first surgery of the day was scheduled for 10 a.m., a complex brain tumor removal that many surgeons would find challenging. But for Dr. Carter, this was where he excelled. In the operating room, nurses and other doctors looked to him with respect and trust. His calm confidence made everyone feel safe. As Dr. Carter prepared for surgery, washing his hands thoroughly, he thought briefly about the waitress at the diner. He didn't feel angry about how she had treated him. In his life, he had faced much worse. Instead, he focused on what was truly important, the patient waiting for him to save their life. Little did he know that his path would cross with Melissa's again very soon, in a way neither of them could have expected. That same day, Melissa's shift at Billy's Diner ended at 3 p.m. She counted her tips while chatting with Jenny near the cash register. "Not bad today," Melissa said, flipping through the dollar bills. "That couple at table 7 left me $20. But that guy at table 14 this morning was just like I expected. Left barely anything extra." Jenny nodded, not knowing that James had actually left a generous tip that the busboy had pocketed when Melissa wasn't looking. "Heading home now?" Jenny asked. "Yeah, my sister Sarah is coming over for dinner. She just got that new job at the accounting firm downtown, so we're celebrating." Melissa left the diner feeling good about her day. The spring weather was perfect as she waited at the bus stop. Her phone rang, showing an unknown number. "Hello," she answered. "Is this Melissa Turner?" a serious voice asked. "Yes, who's this?" "This is Chicago Memorial Hospital. Your sister Sarah has been in a serious car accident. She's being brought in by ambulance right now." Melissa's heart dropped. The world seemed to stop around her. "What? No. Is she okay?" "We don't have all the details yet, but you should come to the hospital as soon as possible." Melissa's hands shook as she ended the call. She ran into the street and waved frantically at a taxi. "Chicago Memorial Hospital. Please hurry," she told the driver, her voice breaking. The 15-minute ride felt like hours. Melissa called her parents, who were on vacation in Florida. They promised to get on the first flight back. At the hospital, Melissa rushed to the emergency room reception desk. "My sister, Sarah Turner. She was in an accident. Where is she?" The receptionist typed on her computer. "Yes, she's just arrived. The doctors are examining her now. Please take a seat in the waiting area." "But I need to see her. Is she okay? The doctor will come speak with you soon." Melissa paced back and forth in the waiting room. After 30 minutes, a young doctor approached her. "Are you Sarah Turner's family?" "Yes, I'm her sister. How is she?" The doctor's face was serious. Your sister has suffered severe head trauma. She's stable for now, but she needs emergency surgery. We've called in our best neurosurgeon. Will she be okay? Melissa asked, tears running down her face. The next few hours are critical. Dr. Carter is the best surgeon we have. If anyone can help your sister, it's him. Melissa sat down, feeling dizzy. She thought about her sister. Just 24 years old with her whole life ahead of her. They had plans to watch movies tonight. Now, Sarah was fighting for her life. 2 hours passed. Melissa jumped every time a doctor walked into the waiting room. Finally, a nurse approached her. Miss Turner, Dr. Carter wanted me to let you know that your sister is in surgery now. It will take several hours. He suggested you might want to get something from the cafeteria while you wait. I can't eat anything. Not until I know she's okay. The nurse nodded with understanding. I'll keep you updated. More family members arrived, aunts, uncles, and Sarah's boyfriend, Tom. They huddled together in the waiting room, sharing worried looks and quiet prayers. At 9 p.m., almost 6 hours after Sarah had been brought in, a tall man in surgical scrubs walked into the waiting room. Family of Sarah Turner, he called. Melissa stood up quickly. Yes, that's us. How is she? The surgeon approached them, and Melissa felt a strange sense that she had seen him before. When he came closer, her heart nearly stopped. It was the man from table 14, the same man she had treated so poorly that morning. Hello, I'm Dr. James Carter, Chief of Surgery, he said calmly. I just finished operating on your sister. Melissa couldn't speak. Her face turned pale as she realized who was standing in front of her. The man she had mocked was now the one person who could save her sister's life. Melissa stood frozen, her mouth slightly open as she stared at Dr. Carter. Her mind flashed back to that morning, the cold food, the rude comments, the eye rolls with Jenny. Now this same man was standing before her in surgical scrubs, looking tired after hours of operating on her sister. Dr. Carter didn't show any sign that he recognized Melissa. His face remained professional and kind as he addressed the worried family. Sarah's surgery was very complicated, he explained in a calm voice. The accident caused bleeding in her brain, which we managed to stop. We also repaired a small fracture in her skull. Melissa felt her legs grow weak. Sarah's boyfriend, Tom, put his arm around her to keep her steady. Is she going to be okay? Melissa finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Carter looked directly at her. For a brief moment, Melissa thought she saw a flicker of recognition in his eyes, but he remained completely professional. The next 48 hours will be critical, he said. She's young and healthy, which works in her favor. But head injuries are always serious. She's in the intensive care unit now, and we're monitoring her closely. Melissa's aunt stepped forward. Can we see her, doctor? Yes, but only 2 visitors at a time, and just for a few minutes. She needs complete rest right now. As the family discussed who should go first, Dr. Carter pulled out a business card and handed it to Melissa. I understand you're her sister, he asked. Melissa nodded, unable to look him in the eye. Here's my direct number. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to call. I'll be checking on Sarah regularly throughout the night. Thank you, Melissa whispered, finally looking up at him. Thank you for helping my sister. Dr. Carter nodded. It's my job. A nurse came to take Melissa and Tom to see Sarah. As they walked away, Melissa glanced back at Dr. Carter. He was already talking to another family, showing them the same care and attention. The sight of Sarah in the ICU made Melissa gasp. Her vibrant, always smiling sister lay still, with tubes and wires connected to machines all around her. Her head was wrapped in bandages, and her face was bruised from the accident. Oh, Sarah, Melissa whispered, carefully taking her sister's hand. You're going to be okay. Dr. Carter fixed you up, and he's the best. You just need to rest now. After their brief visit, Melissa and Tom returned to the waiting room. The rest of the family took turns visiting Sarah. When everyone had seen her, most decided to go home and return in the morning. But Melissa refused to leave. I'm staying right here tonight, she told Tom. You should go home and get some sleep. Tom kissed her forehead. Call me if anything changes. I'll be back first thing tomorrow. Alone in the waiting room, Melissa couldn't stop thinking about Dr. Carter. The shame she felt was overwhelming. All day, Nurses and other doctors had talked about Dr. Carter with such respect. "We're lucky Dr. Carter was here today," one nurse had said. "He's the best neurosurgeon in the state." And this morning, she had treated him like he was nothing. Around midnight, Melissa dozed off in the uncomfortable waiting room chair. She woke up to someone gently touching her shoulder. It was Dr. Carter, still in his scrubs, looking tired but alert. "Miss Turner," he said softly, "I just checked on Sarah. Her vital signs are stable, and she's responding well so far. I thought you might want to know." Melissa looked up at him, tears filling her eyes. This man who had every reason to ignore her or treat her poorly was instead showing her kindness and compassion. "Dr. Carter," she began, her voice shaking. "I need to tell you something." "Dr. Carter," Melissa said, gathering her courage. I was your waitress this morning at Billy's diner." Dr. Carter's face remained calm. He nodded slowly. "I know." "You knew?" Melissa asked, surprised. "But you didn't say anything." "Your sister's care is what matters right now," he said simply. "Not what happened at breakfast." Tears filled Melissa's eyes. "I treated you terribly. I was rude and prejudiced. And now you've saved my sister's life." Dr. Carter sat down in the chair next to her. He looked tired after the long surgery, but his eyes were kind. "I became a doctor to help people, Miss Turner. All people. That doesn't change based on how they treat me." "But I judged you without knowing anything about you," Melissa said, wiping her tears. "I'm so ashamed." "We all make mistakes," Dr. Carter said. "What matters is learning from them." A nurse appeared in the doorway. "Dr. Carter, Mrs. Johnson in room 304 is showing signs of increased pressure." "I'll be right there," he replied, standing up. To Melissa, he said, "Try to get some rest. Sarah is stable, but she has a long recovery ahead. She'll need your support." He walked away, leaving Melissa with her thoughts and regrets. The next morning, Sarah showed small signs of improvement. Her boyfriend Tom arrived early, bringing coffee and a sandwich for Melissa. "Did you sleep at all?" he asked, concerned. "Not much," Melissa admitted. "But Dr. Carter came by at midnight to tell me Sarah was stable." "That's the doctor who operated on her?" "I heard the nurses talking about him. They say he's amazing." Melissa nodded. "He is. And Tom, I need to tell you something." She explained what had happened at the diner and how she had treated Dr. Carter. Tom listened without interrupting. "Wow," he said when she finished. That's intense." "I feel terrible," Melissa said. "He's been nothing but kind and professional." Throughout the day, Melissa watched Dr. Carter work. He visited Sarah 3 times, checking her vitals and pupil response. He spoke to other patients and their families with the same care and attention. Nurses and doctors clearly respected him, often asking for his opinion on difficult cases. During his afternoon visit to Sarah's room, Dr. Carter seemed pleased with her progress. "Her brain swelling is going down," he told Melissa and Tom. "That's very good news." "When will she wake up?" Tom asked. "It's hard to predict with brain injuries," Dr. Carter explained patiently. "Could be hours, could be days, but all signs are pointing in a positive direction." As he turned to leave, Melissa spoke up. "Dr. Carter, could I speak with you privately for a moment?" Tom stepped out of the room, and Melissa took a deep breath. "I want to properly apologize for how I treated you," she said. "There's no excuse for it. You didn't deserve that kind of treatment from me or anyone else." Dr. Carter studied her face for a moment. "You know, Miss Turner, I've been dealing with this kind of thing my whole life. From elementary school to medical school, and even now as chief of surgery." "That doesn't make it right," Melissa said, looking down at her hands. "No, it doesn't," he agreed. "But what's important is that you recognize it. Many people never do." "How do you handle it?" Melissa asked. "How do you not get angry?" Dr. Carter looked at Sarah's sleeping form. "Getting angry wouldn't help me be a better doctor. And that's what matters to me, doing my job well and helping people heal." He checked his watch. "I have a meeting to attend. Try to stay positive for your sister. Talk to her, even if she seems asleep. She might be able to hear you." As Dr. Carter left the room, Melissa felt something change inside her. His words made her see herself clearly for the first time in years. 3 days passed with Melissa barely leaving the hospital. She slept in Sarah's room, talked to her sister for hours, and watched Dr. Carter's daily visits with growing respect. On the morning of the 4th day, Melissa was dozing in the chair next to Sarah's bed when she heard a faint whisper. "Water." Melissa's eyes flew open. Sarah's eyes were still closed, but her lips had moved. "Sarah? Sarah, can you hear me?" Melissa jumped up, her heart racing. Sarah's eyelids fluttered, then slowly opened. She looked confused and tried to speak again, but only managed a weak whisper. "It's okay, don't try to talk," Melissa said, tears of joy running down her face. She pressed the call button repeatedly. "You're in the hospital. You had an accident, but you're going to be okay." A nurse rushed in and saw that Sarah was awake. "I'll get Dr. Carter right away." Within minutes, Dr. Carter arrived, looking pleased but professional. He checked Sarah's pupils with a small light and asked her simple questions. "Do you know your name?" Sarah nodded weakly. "Sarah Turner," she whispered. "Good. Do you know what year it is?" Sarah thought for a moment. 2025. "Excellent. Can you squeeze my fingers?" Sarah squeezed his hands, first the right, then the left. Dr. Carter smiled. "You're doing remarkably well, Sarah. Your brain function appears to be intact, though we'll need to run more tests to be certain." Melissa couldn't contain her joy. "Thank you, Dr. Carter. Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet," he said with a small smile. "We still have a long road ahead, but this is a very promising sign." Over the next few days, Sarah grew stronger. She started speaking in complete sentences and could remember everything about her life before the accident, though she had no memory of the crash itself. Dr. Carter explained that this was normal with head trauma. One afternoon, while Sarah was napping, Melissa went to the hospital cafeteria. To her surprise, she saw Dr. Carter sitting alone with a cup of coffee, reviewing charts on his tablet. "May I join you?" she asked hesitantly. He looked up and nodded. "Of course." Melissa sat down across from him. "I've been watching you with Sarah and the other patients. You really care about them, don't you?" "Every patient deserves the best care I can give," he said simply. "I've been thinking a lot about how I treated you at the diner," Melissa said. "It wasn't just that one day. I've been that way with many customers. I make judgments based on how people look." Dr. Carter put down his tablet and gave her his full attention. "When I was in medical school," he said, "one of my professors told me something I never forgot. He said, 'The person you're treating is someone's whole world.' That changed how I see patients. Everyone who comes to this hospital is precious to someone." Melissa nodded slowly, "Like Sarah is to me." "Exactly." "I want to change," Melissa said firmly. "I don't want to be that person anymore, the one who judges people based on their skin color or clothes or anything else that doesn't matter." "That's a good start," Dr. Carter said. "Recognizing the problem is the first step toward solving it." "How do I make it right?" she asked. "You can't change the past," he replied. "But you can make different choices going forward. See people as individuals, not categories. Listen to their stories. Remember that everyone is fighting battles you know nothing about." Melissa thought about all the customers she had treated poorly over the years. How many of them were like Dr. Carter? Good people who deserved better? "Thank you," she said quietly. "Not just for saving Sarah, but for this conversation. For not holding a grudge against me when you had every right to." Dr. Carter smiled. "Holding grudges takes too much energy. I'd rather use that energy to heal people." As he stood to leave, Melissa realized she had just received another kind of healing from this remarkable man. 2 weeks after the accident, Sarah was strong enough to go home. She still needed rest and regular checkups, but Dr. Carter was pleased with her recovery. "Your sister is lucky," he told Melissa during the final hospital check. "Many people with similar injuries don't recover this well. It's because of you," Melissa said. "Your skill as a surgeon." Dr. Carter shook his head. "I just did my job. Sarah did the hard work of healing." On Sarah's last day at the hospital, many nurses came to say goodbye. They had grown fond of the young woman and her dedicated sister who never left her side. "Dr. Carter wants to see you before you leave," one nurse told them. In Dr. Carter's office, he gave Sarah instructions for her continued recovery. No driving for at least a month. No alcohol. Take your medications exactly as prescribed. And call immediately if you experience any unusual headaches or dizziness. Sarah nodded. I will, and thank you, Dr. Carter. Melissa told me everything about the diner and how she treated you. I can't believe you were so kind to us after that. Dr. Carter smiled. That's in the past now. As they were leaving, he handed Melissa a business card. Chicago Memorial is looking for volunteers for our community outreach program. We teach basic health education in local schools and community centers. If you're interested, call this number. Melissa stared at the card. You want me to volunteer? After how I behaved? Sometimes, the best way to grow is by helping others, Dr. Carter said. Just think about it. A month later, Melissa returned to her job at Billy's Diner, but she was different now. She greeted every customer with a genuine smile, regardless of their appearance. She took special care with elderly customers who needed extra time to order. She learned the names of regular customers and remembered their preferences. Jenny noticed the change. What's gotten into you? She asked one day. You're like a different person. Melissa thought about Dr. Carter and everything she had learned. Let's just say I got a wake-up call. We never know who people really are or what they're going through. On her days off, Melissa volunteered at Chicago Memorial's outreach program. She helped organize health fairs and assisted nurses who checked blood pressure and blood sugar for people in low-income neighborhoods. Sometimes, she saw Dr. Carter speaking to groups about the importance of regular checkups and healthy eating. One Saturday, after a community health fair, Dr. Carter approached her. You've been coming to these events for 3 months now, he said. What do you think? I love it, Melissa admitted. It feels good to help people. Have you ever thought about nursing? Dr. Carter asked. We have a scholarship program for people interested in healthcare careers. Melissa was surprised. Me? A nurse? Why not? You're good with people when you choose to be. You're organized and attentive. Those are important qualities in healthcare. For the first time, Melissa saw a different future for herself. Not just a waitress making snap judgments about customers, but someone who could make a real difference in people's lives. I'll think about it, she promised. That evening, Melissa looked up nursing programs at the local community college. The idea both excited and scared her. It would be hard work, especially while keeping her waitress job to pay the bills. But when she thought about Dr. Carter, how he had overcome so much to become a brilliant surgeon, she felt inspired. Sarah came into the living room and saw what Melissa was reading online. Nursing programs? She asked, surprised. I'm just looking, Melissa said. It's probably a crazy idea. Sarah sat next to her sister. It's not crazy at all. After everything that happened, I think it makes perfect sense. 1 year later, Billy's Diner was busy as usual on a Monday morning. Melissa, wearing her waitress uniform, moved quickly between tables with a genuine smile. Regular customers noticed how much she had changed over the past year. She was kinder, more patient, and treated everyone equally. The bell above the door rang as a familiar face entered. Dr. James Carter walked in, dressed in casual clothes, carrying his tablet. He took a seat at the counter instead of a table. Good morning, Dr. Carter, Melissa greeted him warmly. Several of the regular customers looked surprised to hear her call the man doctor. Morning, Melissa. Just coffee today, please. I have an early surgery. Melissa poured him a hot cup of coffee. How are your patients doing? Especially that little boy with the brain tumor you mentioned last week. Tommy's doing well. The surgery was successful, and he's already talking about going back to school. Their conversations had become a regular part of Dr. Carter's morning visits. He had started coming to the diner again about 3 months after Sarah's accident. At first, it was awkward, but soon they developed a friendly relationship built on mutual respect. And how are your classes going? Dr. Carter asked, sipping his coffee. Melissa beamed with pride. I got an A on my anatomy test. The nursing program is tough, but I'm loving it. With Dr. Carter's recommendation, Melissa had received a partial scholarship to the nursing program at the community college. She worked mornings at the diner and took classes in the afternoon and evenings. It wasn't easy, but she was determined to succeed. As they chatted, an elderly white couple at a nearby table was staring at another table where a group of black teenagers had just sat down. The older man muttered something under his breath, loud enough for Melissa to hear. "Those kids are going to be nothing but trouble," he said to his wife. "They should find somewhere else to eat." A year ago, Melissa might have agreed or even made the teens feel unwelcome, but now she saw the situation differently. She walked over to the teens' table with a warm smile. "Welcome to Billy's. Can I get you all some menus to start?" The teens, who had noticed the elderly couple's stares, looked relieved at Melissa's friendly greeting. After taking their orders, Melissa stopped by the elderly couple's table. With a kind but firm voice, she said, "Those young people are honor students from Central High. They come here every Monday before school. They're wonderful customers, and we're happy to have them." The older man looked embarrassed and focused on his food. His wife gave Melissa a thoughtful look. When Melissa returned to the counter, Dr. Carter was watching her with a small smile. "What?" she asked, refilling his coffee. "Nothing," he said. "It's just good to see how far you've come." Melissa felt her face grow warm. "I had a good teacher." "No," Dr. Carter shook his head. "You already had it in you. You just needed to find it." As he paid for his coffee and prepared to leave, he added, "By the way, the hospital is looking for nursing assistants for the summer. Students in your program are eligible. Might be good experience." "I'll definitely apply," Melissa said excitedly. Dr. Carter nodded and headed toward the door. Before leaving, he turned back. "You know, when I first came back to this diner after everything that happened, I wasn't sure it was a good idea." "Why did you come back?" Melissa asked. Dr. Carter smiled. "I believe in second chances and good coffee." As she watched him leave, Melissa thought about how much her life had changed because of one encounter with a man she once judged unfairly. She had learned the most valuable lesson: never judge someone until you know their full story. She looked around the diner at the diverse faces of her customers and felt grateful for the chance to see them all as they really were. Human beings worthy of respect and kindness, regardless of how they looked or where they came from.